Hey everyone, it's time for another episode of Old Roommates. This week on the show, we are revisiting The Big Chill from 1983. So, hear it through the grapevine. Because we are about to begin.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Brian.
And this is Christina.
And we were talking today about The Big Chill. Christina, you nailed that opening.
Now, I thought I pulled it together.
It's fine.
I pulled it together.
I wonder what else, because we never rehearse those, ever.
No, I never, just like off the top of our heads.
I know. I'm trying to think what other song you could have used.
I don't know. Let's get into the
All
episode.
right, so we begin, as we always do, by talking about then. Christina, when was the first time you saw The Big Chill?
You know, I'm not really sure, to be honest, but I know it was a rental. I know it wasn't in the movies. It was probably several years after it had come out. And I watched it alone. I'm actually thinking maybe it was like on HBO or something. It was probably one of those like Saturday afternoon things. And I had heard all about it. At the time, I feel like I was too young to watch it and appreciate it. I think that's why I didn't really run out to watch it.
Okay.
But I was still interested in it. The soundtrack was awesome. I knew it had good music. I knew some of the actors. I mean, not all of them, but I knew, a handful of them. It was a great cast. So I was kind of curious about it, but I didn't rush out to watch it. So I watched it, and I remember liking it. I remember it being a bit different than what I'd expected it to be. And just sort of like that extra storyline, like within the storyline with Meg. Yeah. That surprised me. I was like, kind of felt a little uneasy about that. I'm like, what? That seems odd to do that. But all in all, it left me with a pretty good feeling. I liked it. I don't think I really loved it the way people really loved it. But I think it was because of an age thing. I think I was a little too young to appreciate where they were in life. What about you, Brian?
I mean, really very similar. So this is absolutely an HBO moment for me. I feel like there was a time where HBO was showing us all the time. And I remember not liking it. I was young. We talked about this before, where I would watch these like grown-up movies as a younger teenager. And but I remember as soon as it was so much drugs. And at that point,
God, you're right,
at that point with just say no, like, I mean, I feel like this is like 83, so the time it went on HBO, God knows, maybe 85, 86, who knows. But I'm a teenager, and you're taught drugs are bad, and every single character in this movie is doing drugs. Yeah. And they were just characters I didn't really like, I didn't know, I didn't trust. Like, Jeff Goldblum really irked me for some reason. He kind of scared me in some ways.
Who I didn't like back then was William Hurt.
Well, doing cocaine and just like a miserable prick.
He was just miserable. That's what it was. It was like, ugh, I did not like him.
Yeah, I didn't like these people. And I couldn't identify with them. Obviously, I'm a teenager. But I didn't even identify them in my own life. Yeah. Like parents or parents' friends or whatever. And so I wasn't crazy about it. What was funny, though, is they showed it on HBO so many times that I probably watched it 2 or 3 times. But I never, it was just always kind of there, not much of an impact on me in any way, shape, or form. I think to your point, it's like, to be young, they're talking about life,
Yeah, they're actually kind of revisiting like what we do, right? Yeah. So they're kind of revisiting their life as college kids. Yeah. And now they're adults. It's, I guess, the 35 or so.
Yeah, like
mid-30s. Yeah. Which is young now to us, right?
Right. I would actually think it was, because at one point Meg says, I've been dating for 15 years.
She said 20 years. She said, I've been dating for 20 years.
20?
Yeah. So I'm thinking if she started at 15, she'd be about 35.
Oh, okay. I guess I wrote that down wrong.
That's okay. It happens.
Assuming you're right.
But yeah. Oh, I'm right. There's no question there. So anyway, but yeah, to your point, they're about 35 years old. And they're revisiting their college years. And I hadn't even been to college at that point, I don't think. Or maybe I was, no, I don't even think I was in college when I saw this. So like, it was just a weird concept for me.
Yeah. Great.
I guess that's the episode.
It's so quiet when neither of us are speaking.
It doesn't happen very often.
I know.
So what about now? Like,
so we talked about then. Now we jump into now, and I kind of went into this like optimistically, truly. Like I was like, oh well, now that I'm older, so many more stars will align. I'll understand their plights and all this. But it's funny. My friend Ben, a few months ago, told me he had watched it.
Yeah.
I think for the first time, and he was like, oh man, so many good actors in a really bad movie. So that was in the back of my head. I'm like, but Ben is a little younger than me, and and I had seen this in the 80s. So it's like I'm like it'll be a little different, but I went very optimistically. My first note is really, I want to say this. Glenn Close was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for an Oscar for this movie. The movie was nominated for Best Picture. I found Glenn Close to be terrible in this, and I don't know if I'm crazy. That is the big note. It's throughout my notes.
Interesting.
I don't know what she's doing in this movie. I understand that her character had this relationship with Alex, the guy who killed himself. And
played by
Kevin Costner.
Yep.
I don't know. I couldn't, like, the tone felt weird. Her character didn't, like, seem real to me, like a real person. She's so intense. I would say she almost seems more like Alex Forrest in Fatal Attraction than, like...
That bathroom scene brought me to Alex Forrest.
But also, there's many scenes where she's just kind of staring dead straight ahead. And it's like, I'm sure I'm supposed to be understanding what she's thinking. Even as a middle-aged person, I'm like, I think it's a lot of emotion for what's going on right now.
I think it was a lot of, like... I didn't think her performance was bad, but I feel like the directing was probably bad in terms of her character. Like, I think they probably told her, you're conflicted, you want to feel one way, but you feel another, and you're trying to act like everything is okay-ish. You want to act like everybody else is acting, but you had a much different relationship, and there's guilt, and there's, like I think that she was trying to do the best she could with, like, a weird...
set of circumstances.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, definitely her character, absolutely. Her character has a very different relationship with Alex than any other character in the movie. And I still found it so hard to, like, subscribe to.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't buy it.
Well, and it wasn't very consistent either. No. Like, I felt like she was feeling one way one minute, and then all of a sudden it was like, I can't believe we're talking about this.
Well, she also would say inappropriate things. Be like,
yes.
Oh, that's awful. Why did I just say that? In which, I don't know. It was just weird.
It was
weird. Also, I'm going to jump. When Meg tells her she wants a baby, this is, I swear to God, I wrote it down. It's like, so, I'm going to have a baby. And Sarah, Glenn Close's character, Sarah, turns and she goes, what? Like, so dramatic. Like, you're supposed to be her friend. Like...
I took it as she thought that Meg was telling her that she was pregnant.
I see.
That was the appropriate response to someone surprising you with, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a follow-up to say, oh, no, I'm not pregnant. Like, she should have said, oh, no, I'm not pregnant.
Right.
I just want to have a bit.
Right.
Yeah, I want to be pregnant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree that the after the fact, I'm like, oh, that was kind of a weird response, but... I kind of get it a little bit. Yeah.
I don't know. Even when she's like, she has she has cocaine with William Hurt's character off camera.
Yeah.
Of course, because it's Glenn Close.
Right.
But then the next morning, she is like all like hungover, but it's very like for the cheap seats. I don't know. I struggled.
Yeah.
I love Glenn Close.
I do too.
There's so many great. I love so many of her movies. And this was just not a good moment for her. Yeah. Through my middle-aged lens, of course. I mean, she got an Oscar nomination, and she's not caring what I think. But like, but I didn't buy it is the problem.
Well, here's, like, this is funny. Like, I have a similar reaction to this movie in a different way because I didn't think that she was terrible. I thought she was fine. But I was so disappointed by Kevin Kline's character and his acting.
The accent.
The accent came and went.
Oh, my God. Every scene.
Let me tell you something. For people who don't know, I am probably Kevin Kline's, like, #1 fan. I love him to pieces. Mm-hmm. He was literally, up until this moment, could not have done any wrong. And I forgot he was in it. Mm-hmm. And he showed up. I'm like, oh my God, that's right. Kevin Kline's in it. And I was like, the first moment that I was like, oh no, was at the eulogy. And he was trying to cry.
1000%. And I'm like,
this is terrible. What is he doing? I was so disappointed in Kevin Kline's character. And then, the accent, it came and went. And he never, like, he was trying to be, like, everybody's friend, but he didn't seem like a friend to anybody.
About the eulogy, I wrote, overdoing it a little, Kev.
Oh, it was terrible.
Oh,
it
was bad. It was bad. And the both of them, Kevin Kline and Glenn Close. Glenn Close does that thing that you hate, where she lets the tear stream all the way down her chin and neck and
nobody does
between
that
her
in
breasts. Yeah, I mean,
wipe it right away because it tickles.
Wipe it away. It
could be a spider for all you know. My first note, just backing up. My first note was, do people still travel to funerals? I find it interesting that all of his friends traveled, like, from far distances to attend his funeral. When it's
shocking, I think they do.
Maybe
I think they would.
Shocking.
I do, because it was a suicide, and, like, I think, like, that is so shocking and upsetting, and they probably, I mean, I couldn't tell. It seemed like they didn't really talk it out that they were going to be visiting, or did they?
It was sort of like an off-camera conversation because Kevin, was it Harold?
Yeah.
Said something to the effect of, like, oh, I invited him, and she's like, what? I think she was talking about the Jeff Goldblum character. And he's like, well, the other ones are staying, and so they must have discussed it at some point in time, but I don't know, but to my point though, some of them hadn't spoken with Alex in a long time.
Right.
So it's one thing to be, like, friends with somebody and then have him kill himself.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if I heard of a friend that I hadn't really spoken to in a while, mm-hmm. I mean, I would certainly reach out to the family. I would send flowers. I'm not sure I would travel across the country to his funeral if it was someone that I wasn't necessarily close with.
Remembering that technology.
Right. And that's, yes. That's why I said, do people travel any more?
Okay.
I think back then, they probably did it more often.
Yeah.
But now, I think it's not done quite as often.
Well, back then, you send a condolence card. It's going to take 3 weeks to get there.
Right.
Back in those days. They're finally over the death of their family member, and then they get the cards. Then the cards start showing up. So my first middle-aged lens note is Chloe is doing yoga on her floor without a yoga mat.
Yeah, she's
like
gross.
Just sweating.
I had a lot of problems with Chloe.
Did you?
I did. Did you like her?
I liked her.
Yeah.
Meg Tilly.
Yeah. She was always doing yoga. She was always in some sort of leotard. I just think there was a little bit of overkill there.
Okay.
She didn't have much of a personality.
She was a goofball.
I don't even think she was much of a goofball. She was kind of blah.
Okay. I liked it. I liked her. So in terms of the funeral, though, will say, like, that the speech that the guy gives, who says, where did Alex's hope go? I thought that was actually very, very compelling and powerful, which made Kevin Kline's performance all the worse.
Yeah.
And I sent you that video of my cat watching the
yes,
the funeral
that
scene.
Was so funny.
My cat loved that scene. Let's see. I did laugh.
Did you see the conversation in the car with William Hurt?
Yes, I wrote it down.
I did too.
Yeah, it's like the last time I talked to Alex, we had a fight. He's like, that's probably why he killed himself.
And then he said, well, what'd you say to him? She said, I told him he was wasting his life.
It kind of reminded me of Me and You. I'm not gonna lie. Totally. But that sarcasm is refreshing. Yes. I think it's much more contemporary now than then. Like, in fact, I think when I watched it when I was much younger, I was like, "Oh, what an asshole! It's so cold." But now I'm like,
I could see with your close conversation
with your best friends, with your close friends, you can be off color and make sarcastic comments at death. Let's see. When Jo Beth Williams' husband says to Tom Berenger's character, the actor, he says, "I love your TV show. We watch it all the time." You couldn't remember what day of the week it was on, because meaning they don't watch our show.
Yes.
I thought that was great. I also loved that little exchange when Tom Berenger says to Jo Beth Williams, "How's your life?" And she goes, "Great. How's yours?" And he goes, "Not so great." And she's like, "Oh, we're telling the truth."
Yeah, that was good. That was really
like,
good.
there are great moments in this movie
really
that sound like friends talk.
Yep,
like, that's how friends talk.
I agree.
I did write, there's so much sarcasm, and I love it.
Yeah, I like the sarcasm a lot, too. I loved the part when they were making fun of Sam's show. When, like, the show comes on, and they're all like, "Oh, it's on. And they're all laughing. They're like, "Oh, that gotta hurt." And, like, all this. Like, I could totally see us doing that, for sure. That was really fun. Jeff Goldblum was so obnoxious, but I wrote, is this Ian Malcolm?
Yeah, I felt that as well.
This is Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park. Mm-hmm. This absolutely is the same exact character. So this could absolutely be Ian Malcolm, and then he, ends up at Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Like, so similar. Everything he had to say. But I just thought he was so obnoxious and very creepy. Like, especially when it came to Chloe.
What did I say to you when I was young? I said he creeped me out.
Yeah.
Like, Jeff Goldblum's character is creepy in this.
He's creepy.
Yeah.
He's like touching.
Yeah.
And he's too close.
Hitting on a young girl who just lost her lover, who is one of his best friends.
Yeah.
And he's hitting on her.
Uh-huh.
And then when he finds out Meg is going around asking men for sperm, he really is
he's like,
aggressive with. Like, he's kind of not nice to her about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My next note, I didn't take many notes, to be honest with you, but I just wrote, with the bats. Kevin Kline, for no reason at all, says, "I'll be right back." Yeah. Then,
so dumb.
But I will say, I said "whoa" at the same exact time they did when more, like when they open the window to let the bat out and more bats fly in, and they go "whoa." I said "whoa" at the same time.
Oh, that's hilarious! Yeah. I love that. That's really, really fun.
I wrote, I love William Hurt in this. His look, his attitude. I hate the earring, but I love his character, his look, and his attitude.
That was such a switch from me. I hated him last time. He was my least favorite character, and he was probably my favorite character in this time around. He was just so much more, I don't know, what is it? Like, just there's more to him.
I think he saw through a lot of the fakeness of the group, too. It's like, he kind of, held people's feet to the fire. Yeah. It's like, well, listen, you weren't, how can we all sit here and, be so sad when we didn't reach out to him at all?
Right.
He didn't care enough about himself. He sort of laid it all on the line. I mean, I think the drug thing, I didn't like through my middle-aged lens. I didn't like it then either, though. But I think now I don't like it because it's like, does this mean he's wrong because he does hard drugs? Because I think he has a lot of great points.
He has
his
really good
delivery
points.
Might be a bit challenging for some if you're sensitive, but because the movie gave him a drug problem, does that mean he's wrong? And I don't think it does.
No, I don't think it does either.
Yeah.
I think it makes him feel less right in the eyes of his friends.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, when all said and done, I think he's right about a lot of it.
Yeah. So we do find, like I said, that Alex and Sarah had a little affair. Mm-hmm. Quote, just a few times.
Right.
I did laugh when Sarah said Sarah's staring at the fridge, and Michael, Jeff Goldblum, says,
"Oh my God,
that's the trouble with these things. You have to watch them every minute."
Yeah, he did. He had a couple of funny things. Actually, in the same scene, it was like you see the scene of the kitchen of everybody coming in and out and talking, and Harold's on his run, which he apparently runs constantly.
Yeah,
his little tiny itty bitty shorts.
I know,
tiny shorts.
Cute.
But anyway, everybody's in and out and having conversations, blah blah blah, and everyone's gone, and then he finally wakes up. Like, he wakes up at, 11 o'clock or something. He walks in, and he does that kitchen, the refrigerator thing.
Yes, yeah.
And then he goes, "Are we the first ones up?" That was funny.
Yeah.
The video camera stuff was a bit weird to me.
No clue. I don't understand it.
Yeah. I didn't understand it either.
We've recorded some weird shit with your video camera, but
it wasn't like we were
we were interviewing each other
and then watching it later.
Although we would do that too, but we were like making spoofs of things, and we were
it was different. We weren't trying to
around.
Find...
Yeah, we weren't we weren't asking each other real questions. I did write a huge plus actually. Nice natural laughter among the friends. I thought every single person.
Agreed.
I bought into their laughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was nice. Because we've seen bad laughter in movies, haven't we?
We sure have.
Tom Cruise, Matt Damon, the list goes on and on.
Matt Damon was terrible.
I did write Meg Tilly makes this an 80s movie. Because there are some weird comedic sort of beats in this where I'm like, oh, this is not the right setting for this kind of a joke. And I'm like, oh, that's right. It's the 80s.
Well, I thought Jo Beth Williams' entire wardrobe made it the 80s, which was really funny. She had those long skirts and long sleeve shirts and that kind of thing. But yeah, Chloe, the Meg Tilly character, she just bothered me. She was just floating around. It didn't seem like she would really be that involved.
I don't think she has much of a choice.
Yeah, but she had her own place. She had her own place downstairs.
Oh, well, I think...
I know what you're saying.
But I also think they felt bad for her.
They felt bad, but... Would she even want to hang out with them? I guess, I don't know.
Listen, you don't have, internet then. So I do like when Meg said to Sarah, I've already made up my mind, just be supportive and shut up. I'm like, that is what a friend would say to another friend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I liked Meg a lot. Mary Kay Place.
Oh, I loved her.
I liked her character.
Loved her too.
And I liked her performance.
I agree. I really liked her too.
She, quite frankly, in my opinion, has a really great balance of tragedy, comedy, snark. I think she gives a much better performance than Glenn Close, since I mentioned it earlier.
I agree with that, for sure. The whole Sam storyline with what's-her-face, with Karen, I just could have done without.
Oh my God, I completely agree.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's thinking she's leaving her husband for him.
Not at all. Yeah, no, 1,000%.
It was a little desperate on her part. I felt like she was like a puppy dog.
Yeah, the minute her husband left, she's like, so what's it like being on a TV show?
Yeah, it was weird.
It's like, what happened to you?
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
It's like, this was clearly someone she wanted to sleep with in college. She never got to.
Right.
Now she feels she missed out. She wants to sleep with them. Her husband goes away, and she does.
Yeah.
That is.
And then with that weird conversation of her thinking that she's going to move to LA with the boys.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. And I thought he was a bit doggish because he did kiss her.
Yeah.
And all this, and he's like, yeah, we can go. I can move you to LA and get the boys, and then but I'm not going to do that. I'm like, oh my God, you had to kiss her while you were having this conversation? That was a little shitty.
I couldn't quite tell if Jo Beth Williams' Karen, if the character was supposed to be comedic, because there are times where she goes from damsel in distress a little bit. Sometimes she's a little Blanche Devereaux, and I don't know. I couldn't figure out her character. It irked me.
Yeah.
Kevin Kline's accent, I swear to God, there's a scene where, so Glenn Close, like I mentioned, she wants to make out or have sex. She's all coked out. And I swear to God, and I swear to you, there's not a smidge of a Southern accent in that scene, right? From him. The very next scene, it's him with the two of the guys, and he's like, "Does a bear have fleas?" And I'm like, wait, like, what? What happened to your accent? Like, it was terrible. Yeah, terrible.
It really was. I was so disappointed.
Me too.
So disappointed. Nick said a great line. I'm just trying to figure out how it says. A long time ago, we knew each other for a short period. You don't know anything about me. It was easy back then. No one had a cushier birth than us. It's only when you get out in the real world where it gets tough. Very deep, Nick. But I like the idea. He's like, we knew each other for a very short time, a long time ago. And there's like a lot of meaning to that. I think when people think about like their college days, I mean, it was like literally like 4 years. Yeah. Right? And
or 10 in my case.
Yeah. But, for the most part,
I know. Yeah,
it is a short period of time. Yeah. And I think because you spend so much time and it's these like formative kind of years, I suppose, and you're learning how to be an adult and all that kind of stuff, it feels longer, but it's kind of true.
Well, it's also the fact that it's also jaded too, because they are different themselves. Like they're also noble on graduation, wanting to change the world, and yet so many of them just were like went after the money. Yeah, and it's like. At one point, Jeff Goldblum's character says like something about ghetto, like ghetto kids, and then Mary Kay Place's character Meg talks about she sort of thought she would be defending, right? She thought she'd be defending Black Panthers, but she ends up just defending scum, and there's like a lot of whiteness in this movie that just has certainly not aged well, and but and it's one of those things, like, these characters are like, would it have been better if there was, like, a pre-Big Chill where you got to see them in college? Yeah. There's no flashback, right? There's no flashback to them in college. No. You don't really know how fun they were. No. How, they talk a lot. And I actually think this would make a really interesting play. It feels very much like a play at times. Yes, it sure does, yeah. And I think, like... that I think it would be a more interesting play than a movie, to be honest.
And I feel like, for what it was, I feel like the dialogue...
Okay. Yeah. Christina's phone is blowing up. Yeah.
I'm super popular. I feel like for the type of movie it was, I was expecting a little bit more, like... substance to the conversations. Mm-hmm. Did you feel like it was lacking?
Because we're older than them now.
I think that's true.
And I was expecting like a little more heartbreak, a little more like lessons learned. Yeah. And they're just kind of sour people. Mm-hmm. Like they're just like, going after the paycheck, going after like sort of shirking their their belief systems of what they thought life would be, and pretty pessimistic as a group. I don't know. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like, and it's funny because I feel like anytime it gets too dark, it's like, let's pump the soundtrack up and have them dance or laugh.
Yeah, let's dance.
Yeah. And I think, and even, I'm going to be really honest, jumping to the end, I was like, it just ends. The credits just start rolling over a scene. And it's like, that to me felt a little weak. And I just was like,
I kind of liked the end. I preferred it to all the, let's give some teary goodbyes and hugs and kisses and have, Glenn Close and Kevin Kline waving to them from the door.
True, fair.
Like, I preferred they're eating breakfast, their last breakfast, chatting, and then the credits roll. Like, I preferred that to the typical ending, I guess.
All right, that's fair. Yeah. I don't agree, but it's fair. It's
so the Harold and Meg situation.
Yeah, that's the rest of my notes, actually.
Oh, good. Yeah, me too. So I remember watching it the first time. I was very uneasy about it. And it still doesn't sit really well with me. I don't think as a married woman...
I bet we have the same notes on this. Good.
Oh. I don't think as a married woman I would have Matt sleep with somebody else, for one thing.
Well, let's be clear. It's not sleeping, is it, Christina?
No, it's sex.
It's sex.
It's sex. I think...
In their bed.
I have that note.
Yeah.
I have that note.
Where's Meg sleeping? Go to Meg. Sleep with Meg, get it over with.
I have that exact same note. There's so many different things about this that I would have changed. Like, couldn't he have just, like, did he have a turkey baster? Like, did he have to have sex with her?
Did she have to be topless?
My God.
Out of everything, her being naked, having obviously has to be naked, but her being braless, or
that
even a t-shirt. All you need, have a t-shirt on. Exactly. That's when I was like, that is through a middle-aged lens. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, when I was a kid, it bothered me. Very similar to those. But as a middle-aged married person, like, okay, so you need to be impregnated. You do not, this is not sex. This is reproductive
that's all it is.
This is a transaction.
Sperm.
And I'm shocked at her as a lawyer because I thought she should have some sort of contract written up. Yeah. She should have made it as formal as possible.
Yeah.
Because guess what? He could have been in the next room jerking himself, and then when he's ready, like, okay, let's get back into it. Yeah. 2 minutes, done.
That's it.
And let's hope for the best.
Or just jerk off in a cup.
You don't get into a bed completely naked, the both of you, flaccid, and you have to start, like, getting aroused together. This is so wrong. It's already wrong. You know why? Because it's already far-fetched.
Yes.
It's already far-fetched. But in their bed
bothered me probably second most. The thing that bothered me the most.
Yeah.
The kissing.
Yes.
Why do they need to be kissing?
They don't need to kiss.
You don't need that. It would have been a better scene if, again, she wasn't topless.
Yeah.
They were in Meg's bed and like a pull-out sofa.
He does say, this bed's always brought us luck.
Yeah, but it
doesn't mean that they're. Why do you want to share that luck with Meg?
And then they spent the night there?
Yeah.
Like, no. It's a 10-minute situation.
Yeah. Oh, is that what you thought?
I thought
you think they slept?
Yeah,
after?
Because the next morning
he says,
how did it go? Oh, he says to Sarah,
yeah,
you okay?
Oh, I guess it does. I guess I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's
true. And then
true.
she says, do you have to be in such a good mood? Which I had to laugh about.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't. I think they spent the night together. I think they spent the night together.
Terrible.
It's
already so far-fetched.
The kissing is ridiculous. Everything about it was
It's actually so insulting to Sarah.
Totally.
And I don't blame her for going crazy and turning into a crazy woman and killing that bunny that time.
Seriously, right?
she's
my
Alex,
only.
Maybe she's Alex Forrest, and that was her other bad relationship that happened. Because in Fatal Attraction, she wants.
Maybe she went crazy and took his name, Alex.
Oh my God! Wait.
Right? Isn't that his name, Alex?
Harold.
The one he had the affair with was Alex.
Oh my God, it was Alex. Oh my God, this is a much darker story
here. It's all coming together. Yes, for sure. But I will say the one thing I was thinking about during this was maybe she felt better because she had the affair. Right?
Oh.
And so now she felt like some of that guilt had lifted because she let her husband have sex with her friend. Yeah. So like she had sex with his friend, and now he's having sex.
You brought up a good point too. The scene where Sarah's talking to Karen, right? I thought, this is gonna be a good scene because Karen's gonna realize, like, listen, she had this affair.
Yeah.
And and I can't remember the gist because it was like I was kind of hoping it would be better written.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I don't know. It's disappointing.
It was disappointing.
So, do you have any other notes?
No, except for the fact that we have a Patreon post this week.
Yes, we do.
It's based on it's going to be a selfie story, our favorite song from the soundtrack, because the soundtrack is a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
I do love the soundtrack. So
the soundtrack, by the way, certified platinum 6 times. There's even a follow-up album called More Songs from the Big Chill.
Oh my God.
Some of them weren't even from the Big Chill.
They were probably inspired by it.
Yeah, but that was a big deal because, and it's so hard to imagine this now in the age of Spotify and all that, but it's like back in 1983, I mean, like, you you couldn't just get like a mixtape.
Right.
You couldn't even really often make a mixtape.
No,
you'd have to buy all of these damn things.
You had to wait on the radio, right?
So these compilation soundtracks were always like a cool deal, and The Big Chill is arguably one of the best ones.
Yeah, I think it was.
The soundtrack is amazing.
Sure. It's a great soundtrack.
So the budget was $8 million.
Mm-hmm. Oh, can I just say, go to patreon.com /oldroommates for our selfie stories. All right, that's it.
Where we pick our favorite song from the soundtrack, like we did with The Commitments.
Yes.
So the budget was $8 million. Box office was $56 million. So it did not. It did very well at the box office.
Yes.
I mean, $8 million at the same time. $8 million for that movie. It's a house.
It's probably the cast.
Maybe it's the music.
Oh,
the rights to the music.
Music.
$8 million. I was surprised to see that. I was like, probably like $4 million, I would say.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else? So Best Picture, Best Supporting Actress for Glenn Close, and Best Original Screenplay, Lawrence Kasdan and Barbara Benedek. People credit this movie as sort of launching or inspiring like 30-something.
Oh, sure.
It also, I guess, had a TV show spinoff called Hometown.
What?
I don't remember that.
Wow.
The tagline, because I was like, the big chill. In a cold world, you need friends to keep you warm.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a stretch. That's on the movie poster. So, I have a match game. What do you have?
I also have a match game.
Do you want me to go first?
Doesn't matter either way.
Well, we've been talking about it a lot in this episode.
Oh boy.
Meg might be looking a little too forward to getting impregnated by Harold.
Oh boy.
Well, some people saw her going into the bedroom with a container of blank. Meaning, so she's going to have, sex to get impregnated.
Yeah.
But maybe she's looking a little too forward to it, because she goes to the bedroom with a container of blank. Maybe this wasn't just a transaction. Maybe she's looking forward to it. Ding. Alrighty.
It's very specific, but...
Oh, God. All right, so...
No, it's not too bad.
I have like 4 answers, and I checked off the one I think.
Okay.
All right. We saw her walking into the bedroom with a container of...
Strawberry lube.
Oh!
Good?
Whipped cream.
Oh, very good.
But I also had massage oil.
Oh, massage oil's good.
Yeah, body chocolate and sex toys.
Oh, very good. Very good. Well, container, for some reason I was thinking something liquid the way you worded it.
Oh, yeah, container, yeah.
All right, so mine also surrounds this situation between Meg and Harold.
Okay.
So Meg and, obviously Meg really wanted to have a baby with Harold. But unfortunately, she didn't end up with a baby, but she did end up with blank.
Easy. Ding.
So Meg, she didn't end up with a baby.
Specific, yeah.
She ended up with...
herpes.
Oh, very good.
Oh, no.
I said VD, which is the same thing.
They would allow that.
Yes.
They would allow that.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, I gave you a nice easy one this time. So, the big chill.
The big chill. Oh, wait. More or less or about the same?
I think it was less.
Christine, I think it was less, too.
Yeah.
And I'm so bummed. I think this might be...
And I was bored.
This might be... I wasn't bored. I wasn't.
I was a little bit bored.
I wasn't bored. But this was probably one of the more disappointing revisits I've had.
Yeah,
since we started
I agree.
this. Yeah.
And we didn't really have a lot of high hopes for it.
No,
we didn't really even love it before.
My expectations were very baseline.
I was hoping I would relate to it more since I was older, and I feel like I related to less.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely less for me.
Really disappointing. Sorry, the big chill.
And that's it for this episode of Old Roommates. Thank you for listening. For bonus content, please visit us at patreon.com/oldroommates.
And follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, @oldroommates. Thanks for listening. Until next time.